Yo, what it do, crew? It's your favorite Coloradan with a noggin, Elijah X, coming at you live in the flesh. And it's the start of a new series. I wasn't all too certain with what to watch on live streams, and I didn't want to keep rehashing the same things that everybody's talking about. So I figured it's hump day. Let's go in reverse. Let's look back on some things. Let's take a gander at some things. So I have a watch later list on YouTube that's 1,000 plus videos deep, and that's been accumulating over the years. And there's a lot of great information to be had in these lists, and I'm sure you guys are along the same lines as I am. I'm sure y'all got some deep lists. I mean, y'all be organizing music lists and stuff nowadays still, and I don't know why. That shit's a wash. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna watch a couple videos and comment as they go on my watch later list. Watch later Wednesdays. So we're gonna pop on over. Let's go with this view of it. Let's see what we got in the listicle. Rabbi, America will be brought to her knees. Things go much deeper than Gen Alpha can't read. So evidently I watched that one, but I think I don't remember it. Let's see. Let's go with this right here.
Intelligence. Interesting.
Hold on, we're gonna start it from the very beginning.
I'm an elementary school teacher, and students have accidentally called me different names. Mom, Mama. But today, a student accidentally called me Alexa.
Honey, teaching kids isn't the same anymore. I gotta keep the kids constantly engaged. Not even just engaged, but almost overstimulated. Girl, bye, I got kids saying 6-7 repeatedly. They don't even know how to spell 6-7.
Kids can't do basic things anymore.
We have zero problem-solving skills. And it's not even just the inability to do work. It's the inability to follow any directions.
We're at the point in the literacy crisis where whole classrooms of kids are struggling with reading in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade.
I don't know. Kids are not being taught well enough to even work at Taco Bell.
The iPad in every classroom ruin education. Not only do they have screen time all the time at home, they also always have a screen at school.
Did you see that thing? It was like a purse with a pad with a display screen in it so they could see it at their eye level. That's ridiculous. Y'all need to quit it.
We are scared because we are watching critical thinking disappear in real time.
As somebody that taught high school, we should all be scared.
Every generation has had its defining threat to overcome, right? Boomers were worried about nuclear war, millennials are worried about climate collapse, Gen Z grew up surrounded by existential instability, and Gen Alpha will have super intelligent AI nipping at their heels, threatening to destroy humanity. Still, each generation has done their best to suppress these threats. Boomers implemented treaties to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons, millennials healed the ozone through banning plastic straws, Gen Z is still working on it. And when it comes time, Gen Alpha will confront the AI threat head on using grit, critical thinking, and sheer determination, right?
Bro, yeah, I see young folks under the age of 20 and they don't even know how to like sweep floors and do laundry. So I'm like, I unless they go back to brute strength in it and like, well, that's not going to happen with the food supply being tainted and poisoned as much as it is. There's no way to really gain all that muscle without sacrificing quite a bit. Like, watch when the AI algorithm gets a hold of our food, pesticides and our cleaning regimens, and it just starts making up its own machinations in terms of how it wants our nutrients to be delivered throughout our system. At that point in time, that'll be setting us up for the Matrix style. They'll feed us what they want in order for us to be able to produce what they need in order to function fully.
Well, Well, that is still to be determined because as of right now, they can't even handle their iPads buffering without having a full emotional breakdown. The thing is, these aren't just toddlers that we're talking about anymore, as the oldest of Gen Alpha are entering high school, meaning that time is running out to get these kids to the level of capability needed to navigate the adult world. I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. With emotional regulation, problem solving, communication, resilience, concentration, and even basic independence all under threat, the reality is that many children are falling behind across the board. And listen, as a mother of a Gen Alpha school-age kid, I have thoughts. So listen up because class is in session, and today's lesson includes the dissection of why kids aren't learning basic life skills in school anymore, and what it means to pass over the world's responsibilities to an underprepared generation. So if you've been wondering, kids' behavior in the classroom has only continued to deteriorate since we last talked about this, and that's despite the fact that there's been growing awareness and press coverage over this issue over the past few years, which you would expect to help redirect the efforts of parents and caregivers.
At this point in time, can I ask a question to the ladies if you do indeed see this video? Are you guys still open to the idea of, you know, raising kids at home and homeschooling, having a homestead? Are you open to the idea of abandoning public schooling and staying with your children and rearing them in a not even traditional sense, but a more active role on your part when it comes to nurturing and educating? Are you ladies even interested in that? Let me know in the comments below.
Alas, we haven't seen any noticeable progress forward. In fact, certain aspects are only getting worse.
All across the country, we got teachers saying the same thing, that these kids are not in the level or on the level of the grade that they're in, that their handwriting is crazy, that they have zero retention and zero access to imagination. They will practice a subject or a skill the whole week, and then when it comes to testing, the children draw a blank. They don't know. They don't know what they're supposed to do.
National test scores highlight this urgency. The latest results from the National Assessment of Education Progress reveals low in English and math at grades 4, 8, and 12. The scores show that 1/3 of high school seniors lack basic reading skills. That's right, Gen Alpha has entered high school and is bringing the grade point average down with them.
1/3,
so the same kids who suffered through school from home during COVID in their early years are still moving up grades without catching up. And why is that? Well, first of all, Gen Alpha's behavior is still as unhinged as ever.
I think you guys are misunderstanding the types of behaviors that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like a student throwing a temper tantrum. I'm not talking about like a student talking back once, right? Everyone makes
they
mistakes.
shoot stuff up now.
But besides that, I'm not talking about those behaviors that are normal and developmentally appropriate. I'm talking about trying to stab your teacher with a pencil. That's not regulation. That's insane.
As we know, many teachers have quit the profession since...
Man, and there needs to be a bigger talk on, you know, these parents. I mean, these actions come from somewhere. They didn't just learn them out of thin air. And I mean, that also can go back to the technology talk. I suppose if they run across it on the iPad or on the phone that their parents are giving them, well, shoot, even when I put it that way, it still would eminently fall upon the parents and their guidance or lack thereof. So, I mean, they're getting it from their parents, and it makes me think of Idiocracy, the beginning of the movie, where it's saying like all the smart people overthought it and didn't have children or a very little amount of children because they were wondering if they'd be able to provide, if they'd be able to love them correctly and give them a life that was worth living. And all the idiots and dumbasses of society just were like rabbits, just straight smashing, bashing, yanking and banking and just pushing them out, popping them out. And yeah, I mean, all the fools of society, I mean, if their knowledge is low and they keep propagating and they're the only ones compounding in interest, declining in interest in that sense. But I mean, it's a crazy world we live in.
of the lockdown because these kids have become just so disrespectful and out of control in the classroom. And for those who have chosen to stick it out, they don't even get the opportunity to teach as much as they need to, even labeling themselves as babysitters more than anything else. As a result, teachers are left with the decision to either decrease the depth of topics that they can cover or let children fall through the cracks as there aren't enough hours in the day to keep everyone on track. As this teacher shares, it's impossible for me to teach a lesson to students without being interrupted and talked over, being asked the same questions, or having to separate students and ultimately send some out of the classroom.
I don't know what's happened to education. It breaks my heart. I've wanted to be a teacher since I was in the 4th grade. Now I'm a teacher and I'm miserable a lot. I love the act of teaching. I love changing students' minds and helping them develop.
I'll tell you something. There's nothing like a teacher who truly has an interest in your development and upcoming as a student. Some children don't have parents, or like I was just referring to, they have parents who are lackadaisical and or don't give them the attention, not necessarily that they crave, but the attention that's needed for them to become. Some teachers, some coaches, you know, some guidance counselors, some of them are the role model, the leading figure. And unfortunately, in today's society, they're looked down and shunned upon and not paid well. And then there's the ones that also fiddle with the youngins and do things that they shouldn't be and texting them. And a lot of the female teachers, not talking about this lady over here, but there's been so many accounts of female teachers having sexual relations with their young students. But that's neither here nor there. But I was saying that a lot of children do not have an adult figure in their life that can help them become better people. The teachers are necessary, the good ones. And if this keeps happening and they get no formative upbringing from the home, and then the teachers don't even care because they've been run into the dirt, then these children are just going to be illiterate hooligans just coming up off of an impulse and angst.
Into smart individuals, but I don't do that. I don't get to teach. I spend my day managing behaviors and teaching students how to regulate their emotions. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a behavior specialist. I'm a teacher, and most of my job is managing behaviors. Most of my job is reaching out to admin and parents.
With that, much like the rest of us, Gen Alpha's attention spans are cooked, and even if they are interested in a subject, they often struggle to focus on a single task for any meaningful length of time.
So, back in the day, jingle, 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 back in the day.
And so many teachers are scrambling to find alternative teaching methods just to hold on to students' attention long enough to retain anything. This can be as harmless as shortening lessons to become more palatable, or in more extreme circumstances, reducing them to AI slop vertical format videos. And you know what? I'm not even mad at it, because at least they're still trying to get the information into these kids' heads instead of just giving up on them. But the thing is, it's a losing battle because iPad kids' standards for dopamine are just so high that most things in life aren't engaging enough to.
Before we continue on, I want to say thank you for everybody who does frequent the channel and or pops in intermittently. And for those who are watching later, I would like to throw up a couple of QR codes and whatnot in order to follow my other places, such as Facebook. I obviously have a page there under the Pensive Patriot. So if you get a moment, that would be awesome for a little like and a follow action. I also have got, my YouTube channel, which I'm also currently streaming from. And let's see. I I don't plan on being monetized over at YouTube, especially because of the topics I talk about sometimes go against the grain, especially when it comes to a certain locale. So if you ever feel like you would like to reach out and donate to the cause, I also have this place right here, which is buymeacoffee.com /PensivePet. Like I said, I don't anticipate ever getting monetized, nor do I do it for money. I do it for information and, spread some knowledge amongst my people. So if you do enjoy the content, you can always contribute and help in that manner. So let's get back to the video.
To keep their attention. As this teacher shares, with the way social media algorithms work, students are being fed nonstop content that's not only entertaining, but also specifically tailored to their interests. That personalized experience has made traditional academic tasks like reading and writing feel much less engaging. When you're used to content that's fast-paced, visually engaging, and highly personalized, a standard reading assignment just doesn't compete. Now, while Gen Alpha isn't to blame for the deterioration of their education, a lot of it comes down to...
I just realized that that's also going to do something with those young beings' ability to detect nuance. Like, the minutia, the actual detailed, the intricacies of things that they're engaging with. Because they're going to be so surface level. It's like when people read a headline and assume they know everything about what's in the article. That's effectively where they're going with it. That little light skim, there's going to be no depth. In other words, people are going to be very shallow and superficial, as we currently kind of are. But ego aside, we're going to be super surface level. And I mean, that's where the most harm is susceptible to anything is on the exterior, surface of it. And unfortunately, I'm of the notion that, especially with how emotional and impulsive people are, that's going to be the case. People are going to be getting tread on hard in the future. They're going to be stomping mud holes, potholes, sewer drains all in your ass. And I feel bad for these young people, bro.
To poor parenting tactics, as well as, again, the pandemic. But that doesn't mean that we can dismiss this as something that will just blow over and be forgotten in a few years. What's happening to Gen Alpha is a growing problem that will change how the next generation of workers and voters impact the world that we all live in. And with that in mind, I want to get into the biggest player here and the main focus of this video, Gen Alpha's ever-growing reliance on technology. Because this is new territory, right? They're the first generation to grow up with smartphone in hand, ready to solve all of life's problems for them. And I want to say that this is really not an exaggeration. I feel like conversations about children can sometimes be blown out of proportion from the back in my day fist shaking crowd, but this isn't that. I know I've had my moments wondering if parents are really offloading parenting onto technology, and then I see a 2-year-old in a restaurant scrolling TikTok, and I'm like,
I was about to say, is it even a question? I see kids in carts all the time with a damn tablet in their hand that's the size of their torso. It's not a question at this point. Parents literally just be giving up. They're like, I want my child to be sat still and shut up and leave me alone because I can't handle my own emotions. I'll just offload it to a
oh yeah, this is a very real and widespread problem. And we know this not just from my experiences, but from the stats as well. According to a report from the Erickson Institute, 85% of parents with children under the age of 6 allowed them to use any device they wanted. As well, according to a Common Sense Media report, 40% of children have access to a tablet by the time they turn 2. By age 8, over half of children own their own device. It is so real, in fact.
Hey, think about that. By the time they turn 2, what do they colloquially call your age 2 phase as a human being? Your terrible 2s, right? So I guess people are starting to see this technology as a remedial thing, not as in like the kid's retarded or something. A lot of R words floating around, but in a manner that it's a means to an end. It's a placebo. It's a solution, whether it be temporary or not. But the more and more you utilize something and build a muscle memory, the more it becomes normative within your day-to-day operations. And this is why when they're super young and they have no kind of emotional control, there's freaking people who are adults who have no emotional control. When you remove these items away from them, if they've had a tablet since they were 2 years old, what do you think they're going to do when they're 6 and you come in their room? There's been stories of these little kids tweaking out and straight up taking their parents out. There's going to be a lot more of that happening, just like there's going to be a lot more old ladies single with no children and more cats than they have shoes.
That teachers are reporting wild stories about the effects on kids, like how kids are actively trying to scroll or swipe their physical books any moment that they're bored. As well, students are increasingly offloading their day-to-day thinking to AI chatbots, relying on them to answer even the most basic of questions.
The kids are using ChatGPT instead of Google. I teach high school, and so when I tell you that young people are using ChatGPT for everything, I mean everything. And I'm working with mostly 9th graders this year, and
maybe I'm showing my age and whatever. We used to have to go to the library and used to have to grab thesauruses, Encyclopedia Britannica, and actually look up information. I remember when Spark Notes first came out, Zip Notes and all that good jazz, and you could just look up summaries to a book and just finesse your way through reports. Then Google came along. Well, Yahoo before that. Google came along probably before Spark Notes, obviously, but it made the process more fluent and simple. So I understand in terms of progression of the resource, but at what point do you compromise your reasoning and your critical thinking skills for comfort and convenience? That's what we're falling into. And as weak as American citizens are, we're not going to be able to actually push back after we cross a certain threshold, and we are heading forehead first directly into that wailing wall.
it's pretty common for 9th graders to come into high school and not necessarily know how to fact check or how to research, but they don't even try. Like the other day, a kid asked me a question, I gave them the answer, and I watched them use ChatGPT to fact check me right in front of me, and there was no shame. It's just normal to them.
This increased use of touchscreens specifically has also compromised children's motor development, as tap-based interaction doesn't build the hand strength needed to support proper writing skills, which are already declining. As said here, lessons on Chromebooks and smartboards reduce the time students spend on paper and pencil activities. In an era in which students struggle with writing their own names, increased hands-on learning is crucial to accustoming Gen Alpha to engagement outside of a touchscreen and developing fine motor skills that will set them up for success in their educational journey. Along the same vein, for being a generation of tech natives, they have surprisingly low computer skills. In fact, most of them don't even know how to use a computer. That's right, even though from the ripe age of 2, Gen Alpha could navigate iPads better than most boomers can navigate a PDF, no one gave them the time of day to learn how to use actual computers. Meaning that even when they do get the opportunity...
So, we made the technology easier to utilize, but they can't even hold on, that's just mind-boggling. I don't think I'm processing this correct. So they don't know how to say click file, save as copy, and type a title or label for a document. They don't know how to go to destinations or file explorer. Do they know how to utilize the run command? Do they know how to run as administrator? Do they know how to uninstall a file without being told? Actually, you know what? A lot of young folks can't even follow instructions. See, what I keep telling people is, sure, a person, yeah, they can read, right? You can read, you can see these letters. But just because you can piece those together, that doesn't mean that you can understand or comprehend what is being put forth. There's a difference between reading and comprehending, just like there's a difference between hearing and listening.
Opportunity to use computers as a productive method of learning in the classroom. They're incapable unless someone holds their hand through the entire process. This instructor shares their experience, saying, "My summer job has been working as an instructor at a technology camp for kids ages 7 to 17, so most of my students are iPad kids. I am given a curriculum that's built for kids to be able to understand. It's divided into short interactive segments. However, it assumes that students are familiar with basic computer functions. I would expect a 10-year-old to know how to launch an application, create a folder on the desktop, and open a web browser's bookmarked content. But this is not the case. I end up instructing on even the most simple tasks. Even files are foreign to them because everything is
Can't
stored
even open
in
a
app and
bookmark,
named
bro.
using autofill or autocorrect. When these kids are confronted with the daunting task of actually typing each letter of a word, they forget how to function. I try and help them find their files, and they're named either new file, A, or keyboard smashing. Overall, we're dealing with a generation so immersed in technology that many have become unhealthily dependent on it.
Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. She just knocked it out the park. I say this frequently, and I think I brought it up in other videos. I'm starting to realize that people are operating like bots. They're literally moving like NPCs, and every once in a while they'll say it out loud. "Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. I was on autopilot." But my thing is like, when you have no guiding system, what does that autopilot lead you to do other than potentially facilitate chaos? Just walking into shit. You're not paying no attention. You're just turning corners without turning your head before looking, run into a child. Like, people don't understand that when you have nothing to hold on to and you're just floating around, you are a potential danger not only to yourself, but those in the environment.
As technology becomes increasingly frictionless, the human abilities that are meant to work hand in hand with it, things like attention spans, creativity, social skills, and concentration, are beginning to deteriorate. If this path continues, Gen Alpha will become ever more permanently connected to devices, to the point where they don't just use technology anymore, they're used by it. And the impact of this dependence on technology is far more far-reaching than we think. Okay, question for you. Do you ever feel like you are more anxious or
I feel like
sensitive
this
than
is some
other
kind of
people? Or
ad.
find
Yeah. We're gonna get past that. We're gonna get past all that. Nobody got
No CD,
time for that.
One of the biggest side effects we're seeing from Gen Alpha's screen addiction is delayed emotional development, as they tend to suppress any bad emotion with
I was
Cocomelon
just talking
or
about
vegetable
this.
dancing videos. Can you put one of those videos behind me? The veggie. Do you know this, Tara? There's like dancing vegetables.
I know stuff. Really?
Because what else do you think happens when
That
children
dude's
are taught
jawline
to
was
turn to
broad as his
screens
shoulders.
whenever life becomes boring, frustrating, or stressful? As this parent shares, my son, Gen Alpha, was upset the other day due to an incident in school. He refused to share it with me despite repeated asks, and he was sulking. I stopped and just sat next to him. He said, "Let me watch TV, I will feel better." When they argue and fight with parents, friends, or when they are restless, fragile, or overwhelmed, they just reach out to the numbing glow because they don't know how to process overwhelming emotions. We see this all the time, right? A child is screaming in the grocery store, so a mom throws a screen in front of their face. And I hate to say it, but I'm not necessarily mad at this all the time because I feel like there's some nuance here. I know you're expecting me to.
Yeah, and I get what she's about to put down for sure, but moderation is key. Discipline is everything. These are things that we need to start instilling within the youth at an early age. Instead of giving them iPads at 2 years old, start talking to them. Communicate with them. You'd be surprised what children can ingest. I mean, they say they're like sponges, but watch when that child starts talking. If you speak to them well when they're young, they'll be able to articulate when they're actually able to speak, succinctly, which might not be until they're like 6 or 5. I don't know when children start speaking, but when they start forming sentences, they'll be able to talk to you well, like an actual being. This is real. You need to guide them. You need to sculpt them, because if you don't, somebody else will more than likely groom them.
Say iPads are the devil, which I do feel that way, but I do have some empathy and understanding for parents who use them. Hear me out. In a world where parents are often left to navigate parenthood without much of a village to support them, I personally don't think it's a big deal if they pull out their phone to prevent their toddler from screaming in the grocery line, or to survive the last 10 minutes waiting for the bill at a restaurant when their kids are completely exhausted and barely holding it together. But there's a line, right? Like, if you're only ever using the screen anytime your child is emotional, then they're losing the opportunity to learn to process those feelings.
Precisely.
With that, I'm also not judging parents who use screens as the only way for them to enjoy a night out at a restaurant without their 2-year-old screaming the whole time.
Maybe do drinks. Hold on. Sonny, maybe next weekend. Yeah, so then she said, hold on, stay away from the swings.
I'm of the notion that we should stop eating out so often, one way or the other. It's too expensive, first of all. Second of all, that tip culture is completely toxic now. And third of all, it's not worth it for your health system, especially for your child. You don't want to be sticking that stuff inside their system. I would rather at least get my eyes on the food and the produce that I'm bringing in, and get hands-on with it to see if it's actually tolerable to feed my child, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, there's lab-grown meat and everything floating around, and even places like Tyson's Chicken, you know? They supply restaurants, they supply grocery chains. Like, you have to keep an eye out nowadays, and you think the people working there would care, but most of the people who are working don't even want to be around. So, I would advise, don't.
Be free around Christmas.
Feel free to tell me if you think I'm wrong. I just feel like it's not bad if used selectively. But as kids grow up, we need to put the screens away, because your 5-year-old should be able to sit in the dentist waiting room without an iPad. Because if you overdo it, you end up with research studies with 10-year-olds saying if you're in a bad mood, you just go on your phone and then you feel better. You can scroll to a funny video and forget about the sad stuff. And this is
the way that they, especially, please don't let your children be on social media, especially now that we know how the algorithm works. Like, it'll obviously populate things that you're interested in, but the way it keeps you hooked and keep you doom scrolling is it'll give you like two good, very good things that gets you up, that boost your I guess serotonin release. And then it'll hit you with something that's extremely emotionally heavy or devastating, and it'll make you feel bad and kind of make you want to go away and get off. And then right when it seems like that low is too much, it'll give you more things to once again boost your serotonin output. So they do it on purpose, that undulating wave, because everything is a vibe and a frequency. Well, not a vibe, you know what I mean though. It's a frequency. So the way they how they frequent your feed is done intentionally to keep you on the platform.
Exactly why Gen Alpha has such bad attention spans. We're seeing kids constantly needing more and more stimulation to stay engaged, to the point that many can barely tolerate anything slower or low stimulation anymore.
When I was in high school and you got to watch a movie, that was electric. You didn't care what movie. You didn't care what you had to do after. You got to watch a movie. We made it through 32 minutes of the movie. It's a 90. They were in here for 90. Oh, and then you're gonna complain that I give you a worksheet? I give you a worksheet that's time-stamped with short answer questions. Look at that, I'm gonna stop and explain to you because you can't even concept the movie because you can't.
This plays out in the classroom exactly how you would expect it, where kids can't sit still. The Gen Alpha literacy crisis isn't just about failing grades or a drop in standardized test scores. It's about how an entire generation is losing the ability, stamina, and desire to read novels that shape their lives. How they won't be able to function in a world with menus, manuals, and memos. How their imaginations are being stunted so they can't create worlds in their own minds, since they prefer unimaginative worlds made for them on a screen.
Honey, teaching kids isn't the same anymore. It's just not. Used to be
My bad. I forgot that I was muted. But that's part of the education thing as well. They're not actually teaching them anything. They're telling them things, and they're just taking it as, 100% fact. We're not being taught how to critically think. We're being taught how to just understand and move on.
Kids would listen to teachers simply because they were teachers. That was the respect of it all. Now, no, honey. I got to keep the kids constantly engaged. Not even just engaged, but almost overstimulated. The candy isn't even working anymore. Giving out candy for positive reinforcement doesn't even work anymore. They don't care about that. Girl, I'm using Chimpanzini Benanini just to get my kids' attention, just so they'll look at me. Hello, hello. Girl, bye. I got kids saying 6-7 repeatedly. They don't even know how to spell 6-7. Catching me doing this mid-lecture, just to see if they're paying attention. You watching? Hello, we there? Girl, it's so bad now. It's so bad.
Going further, researchers are finding that Gen Alpha is following Millennial and Gen Z's trend of mental health deterioration. We're talking anxiety, ADHD, and depression, all spiking and impacting students' ability to succeed.
No shucks, bro. Have you seen the people my age? I mean, shoot, bro. A lot of them are on pharmaceuticals, SSRIs, and all types of stuff. A lot of people go to therapy, and the thing is therapy is not meant as a solution. The same way that big pharma isn't meant to actually cure you. It's the same thing. It's just on the mental portion of the health spectrum. They're not looking to heal you, because if they did, then they wouldn't get paid. You wouldn't return, and their money would be gone. It's the same thing with, say, when you get fire inspections in your building. They never pass 100% the code. They will never give you 100%, because then they wouldn't be able to come around and commit to doing another inspection the next time it rolls around. It's all part of the system.
Succeed in the classroom. And we know this to be a result of the increased screen time, as the amygdala, involved in emotional processing and motivation, has been shown to shrink in volume and size with increased scrolling and screen time. But we also can't just outright take away the devices either without dealing with a whole other realm of issues, because these are real addictions we're talking about, meaning that kids go through withdrawal as they're so unfamiliar with their own emotions.
Day 2 without your iPad. How's it going, Joe?
Apple Patch.
A University of Washington study found that 22% of screen time transitions evoked a negative reaction from children under the age of 5, while another study from Brigham Young University found that of children ages 2 to 3 using screens, 93% of parents reported their toddler at least sometimes throws tantrums or whines when transitioning away from media. And so, of course, children aren't going to be well regulated in school when they aren't well regulated in any area of their lives.
It's a damn shame, bro. We're setting these little ones up for failure.
Our story doesn't stop here, as the issue with Gen Alpha goes so much deeper than iPads. In fact, it's the entire technology atmosphere we live in that's compromising this generation. Because even if you never give your kid an iPad, secondhand tech exposure can do just as much damage. So what does that look like? Well, for one, Gen Alpha is absorbing all these tendencies to turn to technology as a constant stream of clarity, answers, and direction. Because whenever we as parents are asked a question we don't have the answer to, what do? We pull out our phones. How long until we get there? GPS says 13 minutes. What's this insect in my hand? Photo app ID says a damselfly. How do I solve this long division homework equation? Let's plug it into ChatGPT. Everything from our digital calendars, time blocking out our entire week, the weather apps giving us hour-by-hour forecasts, and smart speakers handling all the questions that fall in between means that we always have the answer. Which is, in fact, incredibly convenient, because for the first time ever, us parents have responses to the endless stream of whys. But convenience isn't always a good thing, because when we only ever supply this constant stream of direct answers, children begin to rely on that unwavering certainty and lose the friction needed to build resilience.
Working with children has ruined my passion for working with children. So for context, I work in lower elementary. We have zero problem-solving skills. There could be a backpack in the path that someone needs to walk, and instead of picking it up, walking around it. They'll start whining that they don't know what to do. Like their brain short circuits and they don't know what to do about it. They literally cannot think to just move it out of the way.
Unlike the hovering helicopter parents, the smart plow parent doesn't even need to hover. Technology does the hovering. GPS, alerts, reminders, AI-generated to-do lists.
Another thing with this that really irks me is being how comfortable they are right now. You see how we're going through this deflock week of action. When these children grow up and they're so accustomed to having all these automatic AI products and things all over the places, phones, cameras, they're gonna just naturally just never mind it. They're gonna never mind it. They're gonna just fall victim to the system. They're gonna start doing exactly what we do. Well, what can we do about it? This makes me really irritated, to be completely honest, because they're going to full on accept, hey, man, every light post has an AI camera in it that connects to the surrounding states. So if you do something over here in YO, they can fucking tell you when you go all the way to New York. I used to be a really big techie. I used to be a big tinkerer. I love technology. I was one of the first people with the smartphone in my high school, the HTC Star Trek. Big old clamshell, extended flip device, bro. It came with the version of Windows Explorer on it. I could get on the internet. And I tell you something now. I did not look up things that were good for me. I did not do anything that was beneficial for my brain. I'm certain I watched thousands of hours of pornography on it when I was a youngin'. And you think these little children, with all this AI at hand, it's already been reported that people are using Grok AI to make us illicit images of adolescents and stuff against their will. They're bringing pictures of people in their classrooms in AI'd and showing them derobed. This is going to get really bad, and AI is going to usher in an age of not necessarily uncertainty, but an age of insincerity that I don't know if humanity is going to be able to shake until Jesus returns.
Every obstacle is cleared before the child even sees it. In our pursuit of convenience, we've accidentally made life harder for them. So interesting. That's why I make videos. Basically, these screen-heavy environments are providing an illusion of control for children, leading them to lose the ability to learn how to find their own answers and solutions.
So every week in my class, at the end of the week, we do what is called a Formative Friday, where I just give them a little 4-point formative little quiz to see how they learned that week's material. This is the screen they see pretty much every single time. This part doesn't ever change. So those expectations are there every single time. I also always give them something to work on afterward. All the instructions, where does it say? Oh, on Schoology. This is not new. This is up there every single week. And when I tell you that one of the girls had the audacity to tell me that I should give them something to do when they're finished with their quizzes and they would be quiet. And then all I did was point to the board and I said, almost like I gave you something to do. It's right there. It's just, well,
It's right there. It's right there. Bro, and that's what I'm telling you. These kids they're kind of thick. And by thick, I mean dense. And by dense, I mean dumb. And I don't want to talk slick about children. That's not my thing. I love the young folks. There's so much life and energy and just pureness and innocence and spirit in them. So much just activity. And the way they love people is so amazing. That's why they get taken advantage of as much as they do. Think about it. when you are the nicest version of yourself, the most caring, kind, and giving, and heartful version of yourself, what did people do? They took advantage of it. So, in my opinion, we need to get the children on point. Get the technology out of their hands. Start being more active in their life. Actually hold conversation with them like they're human beings, because they are. The fact that we still are debating whether a baby is a human or an infant that hasn't been born yet is a human is just wild to me. Like, y'all motherfuckers are crazy. You're bugging, and I don't appreciate it. We're gonna find another video here. So let's see. Yeah, we're gonna find another video to rock out with out of the watch later list. I'm trying to figure out. There we go. We're on the watch later list. Watch later Wednesdays. Here we go. Watch later Wednesdays. Let's go. I was very interested in the muzzle loaders scene. Spidey on purpose. CERN just created some. The Talmud is disgusting. Let's see what this is about. Let's see.
Today I'm going to show you something so evil and so vile in this book right here, which I'll be showing you in closer detail. That's probably going to really shock you. And it is certainly something that the Talmudic rabbis do not want people to understand. They don't want people to know. What I have here is the Talmud, the Steinsaltz edition, volume 7, Tractate Ketubot, part 1. You can see it right there. I did a video on these a little while ago. The whole set, we have the whole thing. Cost us over $2,000 for this.
Jeez.
And the fruits of this are going to start paying off. Right now, believe it or not, my 10-year-old son, is actually going through one of these, and he's writing down notes for me. So anything he sees that's heretical or nonsense, he's actually writing notes. He's got, I think, somewhere around 40 or 50 different page numbers and notes. The Lord is blessing my son greatly. I'm actually really blown away by it. Please do pray for Oliver. The Lord's doing a real work in my son's life. And he actually asked to do it. He said, Father, could I start looking through those? I'd like to find some things, see what they actually say. And it's amazing what the Lord is doing. And I think...
I get you, big homie. Let's see.
Okay. Mishnah, whatever the Hebrew is there, it has already been established in a previous Mishnah above 10b that a woman who is presumed to be a virgin at the time of her marriage is entitled to a ketubah of 200 denarim, whereas a woman who is presumed to be a non-virgin at the time of her marriage is entitled to a ketubah, marriage agreement is what a ketubah is, of 100 denarim, a mina, whatever. The Mishnah we are about
so she's half a woman.
Continues in its efforts to determine which women are considered virgins for the purpose of the ketubah and which are treated as non-virgins. If a grown-up man has intercourse with a less than 3 years.
Wait a minute. If a grown man has had intercourse with a little chickadee less than 3 years old, or if a young boy less than 9 years old has had intercourse with a grown chickadee, or if a chickadee is injured by a stick. Hold on, I'm going to let him read the rest of it.
Old. Are you seeing this? And they're not condemning this. Or if a young boy less than 9 years old has had with a grown woman. Or if a woman has been injured by a stick and as a result her, has been ruptured. In each of these cases, the woman is entitled to a ketubah of 200 denarim when she marries. Okay, and you can keep on reading there.
So if she's taken advantage of when she's young,
really want to.
Even if she's a non-virgin, she's entitled to the 200 that
Now, I take great issue with that. My son, which I mentioned earlier, is 10 years old. And according to this Satanism right here, and a woman, a Jewish woman, could have a relationship with my 10-year-old. And if I was a Jew, hey, that 3-year-old girl over there, she's really hot. Excuse me? And this is what these Jews at the Torah Institutes are learning. I'm going to go learn the Talmud. I mean, maybe they're not all learning the Talmud and things, but a lot of them do. Takes 7 years to go through this garbage.
7 years?
I wonder what kind of horrible things go on in these families, between these families. When their holy book right here, that they deny the word of God to uplift this. And this holy book says, 3-year-old girl. If you're a man, you're a woman, 10-year-old, or a 9-year-old, 9-year-old boy.
That kind of feeds back into the conversation I had during the first set of videos when it comes to teachers touching young people. And this has been normalized, and they're not all like you-ish, you know what I'm saying? But the leading philosophies and ideologies of our nation are instilled by a certain demographic of people. And if you frequent my page at any rate, you know what I'm referring to. But this is not just happening out of nowhere. Our culture is being purposely tainted to make us more susceptible to demonic urges, because the people who run our society are also governed by the darkness of Satan.
Oh, well, that's just conspiracy stuff. That's been debunked. We've fact-checked it, and it's not true. I just showed it to you. Overhead camera just showed you the page and the quotes right here. So that's why they're so evil. That's why they're so bad. Are they? Absolutely. Yeah. But let me give you a verse of scripture. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15. This is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief. Jump up 2 verses to verse 13. Who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. Did you know that Jesus Christ died for sinners? Did you know that Paul said that he was the chiefest of sinners?
Yes, sir.
Paul was a Jew. Okay, read Romans chapter 11. Of the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, Paul talks about being a Jew over and over again. And what a lot of you people forget out there is, you look at something like that I just showed you, and you say, oh, wicked. I just rip their throats out. Do this kind of thing. You forget the message of the scriptures, that Jesus Christ came to his own and his own received him not. Well, you see, then they're done. No, because Paul wasn't done. Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? Who art thou, Lord? I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. Oh, but sorry, Saul, because you're those wicked Jews. Those evil, horrible, Talmudic Jews. And a lot of those traditions, they go back all the way in the BC years. You know, before Christ. That's what BC means. It's not BCE, before the common era. Before the common error with the whole system. No, it's before Christ. And AD, Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. That's the way it's supposed to be. Jesus Christ is God. God manifest in the flesh. I've proved it for years and years. It's what the King James Bible teaches.
This is true. And that's why when I did the second episode on the 7 Noahide laws, and they say that anyone who acknowledges Jesus as God is considered an idolater, who is should lose their head. Yeah, so, yeah, you know, whatever. You know, maybe I'm crazy, but, you know, yeah.
And you wicked Jews out there, you qualify to be saved.
Yes, they do.
Your sin qualifies you.
Mm-hmm.
It is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, Gentiles and Jews. Doesn't matter where you're from. If you're a sinner, a wicked, filthy, Talmud observing Jew, you can be saved.
This is true.
Jesus shed his blood on the cross to pay for your sins. He can wash them all away. If you accept him, he can make you a new creature. Saul was a Christian murdering Jew.
Yes.
Hunted Christians down. Hailing men and women, committed them to prison. He watched them die. Probably
Took enjoyment.
I know he enjoyed it. He watched Stephen. Acts chapter 7, Acts chapter 8 goes into.
Oh,
and he
man.
watched Stephen die. Watched him be stoned.
The story of Stephen being stoned to death, it reminds me of the Charlie Kirk ordeal so much, especially given their young age and their influence amongst the people. Such a wild. If you ever get the chance and you haven't read the story of Stephen, he just laid out where you can find it.
To death. They laid their coats down at Saul's feet, and Saul's just standing over there going, "I got another one." Oh, look at that. Boy, they hit him good on that one. Boy, yeah, I heard the skull crash. Yeah, he's done now. Lays there, and there's just a pool of blood coming out of Stephen's head. All right, back to work. Time to go kill some more. God saved him. Are the Jews doing some things that are really wicked right now?
God's grace knows no
Yes,
bounds.
they are. Should you get upset about it as a Christian? Yes, you should.
Yes, I should.
Should you expose their sin?
Yes, we should.
God is no respecter of persons. You shouldn't be either. I
Indeed.
shouldn't be. Raise up your voice like a trumpet and show my people their sins. Spare not. I'm not sparing any of you wicked Jews out there. You need Jesus. He's your only hope. And you Christians out there that get such an attitude against these Jewish people to the point where you just want to see them killed and slaughtered in large numbers and whatever else, and you lose your mercy, you're forgetting the message of the New Testament, the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. Don't forget it. The vilest offender that truly believes that moment from Jesus a pardon receives, like the old hymn says. Oh, unless you don't believe that. Jesus only died for the Gentile Christians, huh? And a few Jews in the early part of the first century there. But these Jews of today, they're just wicked. They're just horrible, Talmudic, satanic synagogue of Satan. And who was before a persecutor, blasphemer, injurious, whatever else.
Everyone is capable of being saved through fervent repentance and acceptance as Jesus as the Son of God and the mediator between us and heaven. I believe the only way your salvation is negated is blaspheming the Holy Spirit. That's don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's just about it. That's the rub.
To the Jews out there, don't go walking around acting like you're holier than Christians. You've got some special little road to the name Hashem. You know, I've got some guy, you know, I worship the name. Sounds like some kind of Hollywood actor that's screwed up in the head from years of drug abuse.
If you don't recall, Hashem, once again, referring to my second episode about the 7 Noahide laws, that's their God, their deity of choice, the only thing they worship, and going to be the global representation of God overall.
You don't have some special inroad. We do. Our New Testament is based on better things than what you had in the Old Testament. And Jesus died. And you actually have an advantage as a Jew, by the way. Okay? Physical Jews have an advantage. Romans chapter 3. Read it. Verses 1 through 6. Read it. Don't give me the spiritual Jew thing there in chapter 2, verse 28 through 29. It continues into chapter 3. Okay? Okay, yes, we are born in with a spirit of adoption. We become spiritually Jewish. Yes, I get that. I'm connected to a Savior that's Jewish, so that would make me, I'm part of his body. Well, then that would make me spiritually similar to the Jews there, a spirit of adoption.
We are grafted, and yes, this guy is spitting facts.
And everything else. That's true. But there's also the physical Jews, and they have an advantage if you give up this kind of satanic, horrible stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll be coming out with a lot more stuff on the Talmud as we have time, as we go through it. And I say we because my whole family's involved in this. My wife, myself, and my son.
Man, I would hope I can get to something like that. At the time, my whole family out here doing research, getting it in. That's amazing. Good on him. Let's see what else we got on the watch later categories. I got so many random things up in here. So many random things. Let's see. Why? Pour peroxide down your drain
That
every
brown
night?
bottle sitting under your bathroom sink has probably been there for months. Maybe you...
Bro, see, and this is this is a good example of like my curiosity. It lies all over the place. Like we just went from classroom and education to the Talmud to now we're learning why you pour peroxide in your sinks.
You pulled it out once, you scraped
What?
me, used a capful, and pushed it back into the corner. Here's the thing, that bottle costs about $1. And it is one of the most powerful drain maintenance tools you have ever owned. You just did not know it yet. Tonight, before you go to bed, pour it down every drain in your house. Hydrogen peroxide at the standard 3% concentration, the kind sold at every pharmacy and grocery store, is a compound made of water and an extra oxygen molecule. When it contacts organic material, it releases that oxygen in a burst. That oxidation tears apart bacterial cell walls, breaks down biofilm, and destroys mold at the membrane level. It is not a deodorizer masking a smell. It is eliminating the thing causing the smell in the first place. The drain treatment industry, enzyme drops, chemical dissolvers, foaming gel tabs, is a multi-billion-dollar market built largely on the assumption that you will never figure this out. A bottle of hydrogen peroxide cost under $2. With that in mind, here are 11 things it does to your drains that those products cannot match. 1. It destroys the biofilm that is actually causing your drain odor. Most people assume a smelly drain means something is stuck in the pipe. In most cases, the smell has nothing to do with a clog. It is biofilm, a thin, slimy layer of bacteria that coats the interior walls of your drain, feeding continuously on soap residue, skin cells, grease, and toothpaste. It is what gives your bathroom drain that low, damp sourness.
Ah, see, now I'm starting to understand why I saved this. My inquisitive mind, my rational mind was like, I'm gonna need this for when my children start shoving shit in the drains. I don't have any babies yet, but this is the type of knowledge. That's why it's in watch for later. I never know when in the future I might need this, but I'm glad it's there because this is some good info.
That no amount of air freshener touches. Pour half a cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide directly down the drain and let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes without running any water. You may notice some fizzing. That is the oxidation reaction working against organic material. After 20 minutes, flush with warm water. The bacterial colonies responsible for the odor are broken apart at the cell wall level. Do this once a week and the smell does not come back. 2. Clears slow drains without corroding your pipes. Chemical drain openers work by using lye or sulfuric acid to dissolve organic matter. They are effective, but they are also caustic. Over time, that chemistry degrades pipe joints and eats at older plumbing. Hydrogen peroxide does not corrode metal or PVC at the 3% concentration.
Oh, that's fire, bro.
It breaks down the organic material, causing the slowdown. Accumulated hair binding, soap scum, grease, without touching the pipe walls themselves. Pour 1 cup down the slow drain, then add 1 tablespoon of baking soda. The two will react and produce a foam that works into gaps inside the drain wall. Wait 20 minutes, then flush with hot water. Repeat 2 nights in a row for a drain that has been running slow for weeks. 3. Kills mold growing inside the drain walls. You can see mold around a drain cover. What you cannot see is the colony living on the interior walls 2 or 3 inches below the surface. That is where it actually lives. The visible ring is just the edge of it. Health agencies list hydrogen peroxide as an effective antifungal agent at the 3% concentration. It penetrates surface mold and destroys the root structure that allows regrowth. Remove the drain cover if you can. Pour half a cup directly into the opening, angling it toward the inner walls. Let it sit for 30 minutes. The fizzing will slow as the reaction completes. Rinse with warm water. Do this once a month and you are cutting the mold cycle off before it builds to the point you can smell it. 4. Eliminates fruit fly breeding colonies. Fruit flies...
Bro, I hate flies in general, but I tell you this one thing. I put up a fly strip in this very room. No open windows, nothing. That John has so many. I'm looking at. That's why I got my. You know what I mean? There's so many on there. There's got to be close to like 80. I don't know where they're coming from. There's no scent in here. It doesn't smell in here. There's nothing in here to even like remotely make them spawn. I don't know what the fuck. I hate flies.
Do not breed on your fruit. That is where they feed. They breed in the organic sludge coating the bottom of your drains, particularly kitchen and bathroom drains near any standing water.
That decomposing organic layer is exactly what hydrogen peroxide
oxidizes. Pour half a cup down your kitchen drain before you go to bed and do not run the water until morning. Overnight, the peroxide works through the top layer of buildup where fly eggs are laid. Repeat for 3 consecutive nights and the breeding site is gone. Without a breeding site, the population collapses within a week. 5. Sanitizes your kitchen drain after raw meat contact. Every time you rinse a cutting board or your hands after handling raw poultry or beef, biological material goes down that drain. Certain bacteria from raw meat can survive on interior drain surfaces and spread through splashback when the faucet runs at high pressure. Pour half a cup of hydrogen peroxide down the kitchen drain after any raw meat handling and let it sit for 10 minutes. It does not need to be rinsed. At 3%, it breaks down into water and oxygen on its own. This is a 30-second habit that removes a genuine contamination risk from your kitchen. 6. Clears shower drain buildup at the root. Shower drains accumulate a specific combination of hair, soap, body oil, and conditioner residue that creates a sticky matrix. One that traps more material over time and becomes nearly impossible to break apart with water pressure alone. Here's something most people don't know. The soap component of that matrix is partially saponified fat, and hydrogen peroxide breaks down fat chains. Pour 1 cup down the shower drain, then add 2 tablespoons of dish soap. The combination creates a penetrating foam that works into the hair and soap matrix and begins breaking the bonds holding it together. Let it sit for 20 to 30 minutes. Flush with the hottest water your shower produces. You will notice the water drains visibly faster. 7. Removes the build-up causing garbage disposal odor. Garbage disposal smell almost always comes from organic build-up on the rubber splash guard, the blade housing, and the interior walls, areas water alone never fully reaches.
All right. Well, this is relatively fascinating, but it is also kind of boring. Let's see what else we got in the watch later list. What we got here? Combat evasion, no more mosquitoes. You will own nothing. The secret reason you can't buy a house. I don't know. Let's go with... That's a long one. I want something that's relatively short that we can just get through. Dang, some of these are definitely... You can see I have a very, like I said, wide range of stuff. Let's see. Soup cubes. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's throw up something that might save your punk ass later down the line.
From one piece of ordinary beef, you can make a soup that will last more than 2 years. This is exactly how American families survived in the 30s during the Great Depression, when store shelves were empty and there was no money for anything. Just 3 ingredients, 1 cube, 1 portion of hot soup in 60 seconds. Today I'm showing you the full technique, the same one people used 90 years ago. Let's get started. I have 1.5 pounds of bone-in beef with layers of fat. Why this cut specifically?
I don't want to talk about people's immutable
and the bone.
traits, but his
Fat
voice is
means
freaking me out.
calories and flavor. The bone is a concentrate of minerals and collagen. That collagen is exactly what makes our frozen cube dense and firm. It holds its shape.
That's pretty
and doesn't
wild.
fall apart.
So I'm assuming he's
Expensive-
about to boil this down and then blend it into something and fucking cube it. But how do you store it for years?
Lean
You know,
cuts
such
are
an interesting
useless
thing.
here. People during the Depression knew this. Cheap bone-in meat is the most nutritious cut you can get. Heat, maximum. We need a crust. It seals the juices inside and gives the broth a deep, dark color. Skip this step and your cubes will be pale and bland. While the meat is working on the heat, I'm cutting 2 onions and a carrot
meat
into
working
large
on the
chunks.
heat.
Large because everything is going into the blender later. Onion is a natural
right.
flavor enhancer. It gives the soup that deep, rich taste. Carrot adds sweetness and color, plus beta carotene, which matters when food is limited. Tell me in the comments, have you ever stored food long term? I'm genuinely curious how many people here are actually preparing.
Who the bro?
The meat
Hold
is
on,
nicely-
hold the fuck on, hold on, really quick, like because I am concerned. Who the fuck cuts
Brown,
a carrot
I'm
like
Eddie.
that? Am I out of my mind? Who cuts a carrot like this?
Tell me in the comments,
Who
have
cuts
you
a
ever
carrot
stored
like
food long
this?
term?
I told you this guy
I'm
freaked
genuinely
me out.
curious how many people here are actually preparing.
Bro, did he try?
The meat
Like,
is
what the
nicely
fuck?
browned.
Did he try to julienne the carrot? Like, why did he cut it at an angle? Why did he split it in half and fucking give it that 65-degree angle cut? Like, what was his motive there? That shit is weird.
I'm adding garlic cloves directly into the pan, whole. They release their aroma into the hot butter. Now I take a spoon and start basting the meat from above. It cooks from the bottom and the top at the same time. Every drop of juice stays inside. The meat is done. I take it out and immediately wrap it in foil for 2 to 3 minutes. This step is mandatory. Right now the fibers are contracted and all the juice is under pressure. The foil creates a steam bath. The fibers relax and the juice redistributes evenly. We are not washing the
Alright.
pan. Right now,
Yeah,
it
you
holds
gotta keep
meat
that
juice,
flavor, dog.
aromatic butter, and caramelized bits from the bottom. That is pure flavor. I pour the onion and carrot straight in. I unwrap the meat and cut it into small chunks. They're going
Was that
into
in
the
the video?
blender with the vegetables. Why beef and not pork? Beef contains more iron, zinc, and collagen, precisely what's lacking in a poor diet. Beef fat is firmer, holds its cube shape better, and doesn't go rancid longer when frozen. Pork is tenderer and fattier, but in survival situations, beef is
See, I didn't really contemplate that, but if he's saying this for survival, like, what if we get EMP'd or some shit? I mean, I guess you could eat as much soup as you can get off before it starts getting warm, but, you know, there's the danger zones of temperature in terms of cooking and maintaining things for freshness. So, I'm like, hey, man, if we get EMP'd or freaking nuked or something, and you got a freezer full of all these cubes, like, they might go bad. I would assume there's a reason. I don't know. I don't know.
more
I just be
nutritious.
talking.
Now, the bones. Look what's left. Do not throw them away. You can simmer these bones for more than 12 hours and get a collagen concentrate that rebuilds joints and connective tissue. That's a separate survival recipe entirely. If this video gets 500 likes, I'm making that bone recipe on camera. Hit the like button right now and let the counter run. I move the roasted vegetables into the blender. I add hot water.
You know, maybe the voice was a little weird to me at the beginning, but I understand that he has some kind of either speech impediment or some kind of something going on orally, and that's fine. The information is superbly intriguing, and I understand that he's actually entertaining the process step by step to make it concrete, concise, and usable. So, you know, I just want to say that. I don't want to sound like a jerk.
Enough for the mixture to move. Blend until smooth. I'm always curious how far these old recipes travel. Write in the comments where you're watching from. Show your country's flag. Now I add the meat chunks and blend again. Everything becomes one thick, uniform mass. If it's too thick, add a little more water. We need the consistency of thick porridge that holds its shape.
Thick porridge.
I add 3 teaspoons of salt. Salt here is not just flavor, it's a preservative. Salt combined with freezing is what keeps these cubes fresh for more than 2 years. If you don't have a blender, no problem. Just chop the meat and vegetables as finely as possible with a knife, mix everything together, and press into a mold. The texture will be slightly coarser, but the flavor and shelf life will remain the same. I take a baking dish and line it with parchment paper so nothing sticks.
I fuck with it.
I pour in our mixture and spread it into an even layer, about 1/2 inch to just under an inch thick. Even thickness matters.
I never thought making a
That's
meat
how you
pie
get
was going to be in
uniform
my
cubes.
future, but this
Into
is,
the freezer for 2 hours.
it's going to be the business.
By then, the mass will be firm enough to
Y'all ever lose power and y'all need something in your stomach? Come find your boy.
slice cleanly, but not frozen solid. I take it out of the freezer. Look at that. Holds its shape perfectly. 2 hours in the freezer did the job. The mass set firm, dense, cuts clean. I'm cutting into cubes, roughly 2 by 1 1/4 inches. I try to keep them
ain't
all
no
the
cube,
same
dog.
size, and that matters because 1 cube is 1 portion. Bigger cube means bigger portion, smaller means smaller. Keep the size consistent, and you'll always know exactly how many servings you have in reserve. Look how many cubes come out of 1 dish. That's 20 plus portions of hot soup. 20
I want
portions
to
from
see
1 piece of
him.
meat.
I want to see him make the damn pot of soup. I need to know what it looks like. I mean, you're not going to give a damn what it looks like if you're going to die from starvation. But I need to know. I'm just so curious.
1 carrot and 2 onions. That's the power of this technique. Minimum ingredients, maximum output. I wrap every cube in foil individually. Don't rush it. Wrap tight. The foil protects against freezer burn and keeps
Sounds
out
like
any
another
outside
activity.
smells. 6 months from now, when you pull a cube out of the freezer, it should smell like beef, not like everything else sitting in there with it. 1 cube contains roughly 170 to 200 calories.
Dang.
Beef, butter, vegetables, plus animal protein,
Yeah,
collagen, and natural fats. Not empty calories. A full nutrition concentrate in the size of your thumb. 1 batch from this dish gives you 20 to 25 cubes. Cook
Yes.
once, eat for 2 years. The moment of truth. I take 1
Yes,
cube
make
out
it,
of
make
the
it,
freezer.
make it, make it, make it, make it, make it,
I
make it.
unwrap the foil. It already smells incredible. I pour boiling water over it. Look at that. In 1 minute, a thick, dark, aromatic soup. Rich color, dense consistency, a smell
Bruh.
like it's been simmering for hours.
Hey, man.
This is not powder,
Listen,
not a
if
bouillon
you
cube,
are
not
starving,
chemicals. This is real meat and real vegetables compressed into one block. Hot.
yeah, that's the business, dog. If you starving and you don't know what to eat, bro, whip out one of them rectangles and get at it. Y'all better stop bullshitting, you know. You know. Crazy. What else? What else I got up in this listicle? Infinite Vanilla. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything in the Quatch later list that I can put up here that's not gonna take forever. So only 3 ingredients and no sugar. High protein chocolate bar. Yeah, put me on, coach. Put me on. Love food. Oh, this one of those dang. Sheesh.
This is a good a day as any.
Hey, man.
To start the rubbish.
I don't know if that's a dang licensed song. They trying to catch me slacking, though. I'll tell you that. We gonna skip this whole damn thing. They done messed up now. They done messed up, Aaron. Hell no, I just want to see the finished product. Is that music off? Oh my gosh, that sound even worse than it did the first time. Oh, Jam, just show me the finished product, y'all bullshit. Bro, that look like Dookie. But it probably tastes phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie. Man, either way, bro, I am set. I watched, like 3.5 videos, and that still took over an hour and 20 minutes. My gosh. Like I said, I got 1,000+ videos in my watch later category. So we're going to be popping back and forth on Wednesdays and going through the schnitz and giggles for sure. But either way, if you catch me later, I appreciate you if you leave a like and a comment on the video. Don't forget, you can do that on YouTube. You could do it on Facebook. You could do it on Rumble as well. I made sure I went live there too. Then I got that. I got the new setup all ready to go. And, you know, I'm looking forward to the future. I have to figure out how I really want to deliver content going forward. Because the streams are, sometimes I'm superbly tired. Like I work really, really hard. And when I finally get, because I have split days off. I have Sundays and Wednesdays free. I don't have 2 days off. So it's hard for me to like piece together a show in a short period of time. But I'm going to try to get that process and like ratchet it down so I can be solid and reliable on that front. Going into the fall, though, I might change my schedule to work the 5 days and have the 2 off. So if that does change, I'll update you guys for certainly. But for now, doing my thing. And I appreciate you guys for coming in. I appreciate you for just taking a peek. I know some people don't stay long, and that's fine. People got things to do, and there's a lot of distractions everywhere. I'm just glad that you take a moment and let me be one of yours. You feel me? All right, I'm heading out for the evening. I appreciate y'all coming through. I'll throw up some clips, but other than that, I'm going to catch y'all on the next go around. Remember, go with God, have faith in Jesus Christ. That's our only way, and that's our only salvation. I love you guys. Have a good one.